gorgeous creature. Welcome to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. What we're going to talk about today is a strange sort of paradox that a lot of people experience where they deeply crave romantic partnership, intimate relationship, being in love and feeling love in return. Deeply crave that, and at the same time are terrified of intimacy. And so let's talk about this. Terror around intimacy makes so much sense if you think about the reality that when you're intimate, you are vulnerable. When you choose intimacy, when you choose deep love, you're actually opening up your heart to the possibility of it being broken. And this could happen in so many different ways. Depending on your history, you might have intimacy terror that shows up like fear of abandonment. You might have intimacy terror that shows up as, I could lose this person to death. You could have intimacy terror that says, I'm not worthy and therefore they're going to discover that and leave me. That's one of the biggest ones I see in my practice and in myself, which is probably why clients who are dealing with that come find me, because I've been working on and continue to work through that particular terror. So here's what happens. You want intimacy. You would love to have it. And because there's a deep fear of the vulnerability that intimacy could bring, parts of you close off to actually finding intimacy. And there's different ways that people do this. The one I'm going to talk about on here today is running away, or not even trying when you see or meet someone that could be a great partner for you. So I'm thinking about it this way. So often we meet people that we are actually attracted to. They feel like an equal match where they have a job that is stable. They have enough emotional skills that they could be really relationally healthy with you. They are sexy and hot and interesting and intellectual, like all the things that you say you want. And yet when you see them, a part of you goes, oh my God, absolutely not. That's too scary. If I get in a relationship with that person, I am definitely going to be hurt. And so you avoid it. And then the next step would be finding relationships that are not as high of a potential, where you go and you meet someone that feels safe. Maybe they don't have a stable job. Maybe they are a little bit emotionally detached. Maybe they're in a space where they're not emotionally available. And that feels safer than somebody that you'd really want to be with who could potentially break your heart. Well, I don't know if there's a way that I could talk about this without sounding shaming towards people who are not choosing to move towards greater intimacy. And that's really not my goal. My goal is never to say, because you're not moving towards this, you're wrong. My goal is to say, can you see the ways in which you're choosing to not move towards healing and growth and personal development and greater intimacy? And if you can see it, are you in alignment with the reasons why you cannot choose that right now? Are you aware of all the blocks and barriers and fears and anxieties inside of you that are stopping you from getting there right now? And then can you be in love with the fact that that is true for good reason, because your history probably made it to where it was unsafe to choose those things? And then from there, once you are aware, once you are deeply compassionate and understanding towards your system, then there's the potential for change. It does not mean you have to change, but you could. And I'm not saying that you're bad if you don't, but I am saying that you might find more peace and ease and a felt sense of connection that is not possible when you're in the other space, when you're in a space that's more fear-based. Okay, I feel like I got a little off topic. Let me bring myself back. So, if you are in a space where you are unconsciously rejecting people who would be a really good match for you because they would bring you up to a new level of intimacy, or let me change that, they would not bring you. You would have to work on yourself to get to a new level of intimacy in order to stay in that relationship and not run from it or scare them off. If you are rejecting those opportunities and instead choosing the safe opportunities, the people who you're not actually really deeply interested in being with, and they do not feel like the fit that would help you grow, I would say that you are probably internally terrified of intimacy for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. You will have to look and be curious about what's going on inside of me that I am choosing safe and easy rather than challenging, growth promoting, and probably more delightful in the end. What's going on with me that I'm choosing easy rather than this other thing? Like I said, the majority of my people are choosing easy for one of two reasons. Either they are terrified of the vulnerability and risk associated with loving someone. If you deeply love someone and they leave, it will be heartbreaking. You will be devastated. You will have to deal with the pain of putting your life back together, and most people don't want to do that. And so there's a real risk. They could meet someone else. They could die. They could change for some reason. Either just like an internal change, something happens inside of them that makes them different. They have new emotional learnings that make them different, or something like an illness or brain injury changes them. So that's one reason, fear of the vulnerability and risk of loving someone, knowing that they may leave for whatever reason. And then the other big fear is fear that they will discover I am not good enough for them and they will leave for that reason. Fear of being rejected. So what do you do about it? Because both of these fears make perfect sense. I'm not saying that you're avoiding intimacy for illogical reasons. Both of those reasons make perfect sense. And if you let them rule your life, you will have a smaller life than what is possible. So what do you do? With the first one, I don't know any way, it's going to make me a little teary, I do not know any way to deal with the reality that you could lose someone other than grief. Improving your ability to grieve loss. That's the only answer. And there are many ways we can improve our ability to grieve loss. Some of it has to do with internally supporting ourselves with love and compassion. Some of it has to do with having a really great social network that you can lean into for support. And then some of it is just allowing the pain to change you. I'm thinking about my own relationship that just ended. That's why the tears are coming. Hello, tears. I chose to love someone. I still love them. And they left. And now I'm dealing with the grief of that. And it is heartbreaking. But at the same time, I would not change it because I would rather choose love and growth and development towards greater and greater intimacy than be afraid of trying. And so I'm actually really glad I chose to do that, even though it did not work out the way I was hoping it would. What needs to happen in order for me to hold that is I have to be so deeply connected to myself and allow the pain to move through me, which is hard. And most people do not choose. And sometimes I don't choose it either. Sometimes I reject the pain and I don't want to feel the big feelings and I don't want to be in grief. But I know that what will heal is allowing this feeling to happen and to move through me and to change me, because it is changing me. So that's one piece of it, learning how to be with grief and let it do its work on you. And on the other side, the work is really about learning how to value yourself differently, which I think is actually all of the work of intimacy. Intimacy is coming into a space where you are so deeply present with the reality that life is valuable and that you are valuable, so that you know your full infinite worth. And that is true for everyone. When I say full infinite worth, I mean everyone. All the animals, all the planets. People are animals too, but I'm just going to put them in a different category. All the humans on this planet have worth and value that is infinite. And we do not treat each other that way, but we could. Same for Mother Earth, like same for our planet. Infinite worth and value. And if we treated each other that way, we would live in a very different world. And so that's actually the work of intimacy, is coming into deep understanding that you are worthy right now, just as you are. Even if you're not the best version of yourself, you are still worthy. That never changes. You can do more to become a version of yourself that is kinder, more loving, more compassionate, more willing to put things out in the world that give value to others. But that does not actually change your inherent value and worth. That stays the same no matter what. And maybe I need to make a video about that too, because so often people do not understand this concept. But the way that I work through this with my clients, and you can do this right now as you're listening. How much value do little babies have? Just like if you think about their inherent value, maybe you have kids, think about one of your children whenever they were a baby and how much you loved them. Imagine looking at that little one and wanting to protect them and give to them, and just think, they've never done anything to try and make that happen. They've never done anything that would deserve or earn the worth that you want to shower on them. It's already there. If you don't have kids and maybe you have pets, think about how you treat that animal. Are they actually doing anything to deserve or earn the worth that you give them? When they feel sick, don't you feel like an ache inside, like, oh, poor baby, I want to take care of you? And they didn't have to do anything to get that. At least most of the time. If you're really somebody who learned conditional love, then maybe this is going to feel a little different. Conditional love is a learned thing. It is not biologically a fact. It's got more to do with like, how were your parents taken care of? How much resources did they have to show up for you versus being really taxed because whatever environment they were in was scary, hard, challenging in some way. When I do this exercise of like, feel an innocent being, a child, an animal, feel an innocent being and notice how much worth and value they have inherently. They did not have to earn it. They did not have to do anything. They just existed. When I started this practice, I could do a pretty good job feeling that babies are inherently worthy, that trees are inherently worthy. But when it came to turning that towards myself, it was really, really challenging. And so when you're starting this practice, really allow yourself to come into a curiosity about, if I think that other people that I love, my best friends, my children, my pets, my family members, my partner, if I believe that they are worthy inherently, that they have value no matter what, why isn't that true for me? And as you just kind of ponder this, my guess is you'll come to learn that you probably had a life experience that taught you conditional love, that you get love and praise and connection whenever you're good, and that you get punishment, rejection, and loss of connection when you're bad. That's a really good way to teach a person that they don't have value. And that's what most of our culture does to us. If you look a certain way, if you're a certain age, if you do certain things, if you have a certain amount of money, then you're good. And if you look a certain way, or you have mental health struggles, or you're struggling in some way that other people would look down on, you're bad. It is hard to come into intimacy living in the world we live in. But my invitation to you is to start working on it so that you can experience the transformation. It really is a transformation that can happen inside your nervous system when you start interacting with the world from a place of intimacy, openness to vulnerability, a deep commitment to love. This video got a little bit long, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.